So 3 games into the season, how should the Big 12 teams be ranked? Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and I'll tell you. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome into another edition of Coos' Corner. Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college football content. On tap today, my top 10 Big 12 power rankings after 3 weeks of games in the 2022 season. Let's start with number 1, and as much as this pains me, it's the Texas Longhorns. Texas is coming off a good victory over a good University of Texas San Antonio team. They're 2-1 on the season. They also have a victory over UL Monroe, who they beat soundly, and their only loss is to the number 2 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, who was actually ranked number 1 at the time, and took a last-second field goal to beat the Longhorns. What has been most impressive to me about Texas is how much improved they are on the defensive side of the ball. The Gary Patterson effect seems to be making a big difference on this team. That's something I don't think enough people are talking about. As bad as I despise this team, I have to give credit where it's due. And I think based on the eye test, who they've beaten, who they've lost to, and everything overall, I'm giving the Texas Longhorns the number 1 spot in this week's power rankings. Number 2 on my list, the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma Sooners sit at 3-0 on the season. They have defeated UTEP, Kent State, and Nebraska, and have done them all soundly. Really, the only reason I have Texas above Oklahoma is because Oklahoma has not really played anyone as good as Texas has played. Even though Texas lost to Alabama, it's Alabama, and they only lost by a point. I think UTSA is probably also a better team than anyone Oklahoma has played this year. So I'm gave Texas a bump for that, but Oklahoma's still doing really well so far. The Brent Venable era has started off on the right foot, and Oklahoma looks like they are, well, Oklahoma. So I have them number 2 in this week's power rankings. Number 3 on my list, believe it or not, the Kansas Jayhawks. The Kansas Jayhawks. Can you believe that, folks? They are 3-0 on the season. They have 2 quality wins. They went on the road and defeated West Virginia in Morgantown in a night game, which is very hard to do. And they went to Houston this past week and defeated Houston at home, and their offense looks absolutely unstoppable. They had both of those defenses, both West Virginia and Houston's defenses, totally confused. Jalen Daniels is running that offense like a well-oiled machine. May be competing he may end up being the best quarterback in the Big 12 this year. Time will tell. But he has that offense rolling. And Kansas sits 3-0, and they have 2 quality wins, both of them on the road, in my opinion. And then they also have a sound win over an FCS team. So I have Kansas at number 3 in this week's Big 12 power rankings. Number 4 on my list, the Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State sits at 3-0 on the season. They have wins over an FCS team and a group of 5 team, and they were both beaten soundly. And then they have a quality win over Iowa on the road in Iowa City. They only won that game by 3 points, but it's their first victory over Iowa since Matt Campbell has came to Iowa State. And Iowa, even though they struggle offensively, are a really good defensive team, and they are still a Power 5 Big 10 team who will probably make a bowl game, if not better. So I'll give Iowa State the edge here over my number 5 team, who is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oklahoma State also sitting at 3-0, but I don't feel like they've really played much competition. That's why I have them at number 5. They are averaging 50.7 points a game offensively, so they're putting up a lot of points. Spencer Sanders really having a good season so far. However, their only Power 5 win was over a bad Arizona State team who just lost at home to Eastern Michigan and who fired their coach afterward. And they allowed 44 points to a Central Michigan team in opening weekend. So I think their defense may be suspect a little bit this year. They're going to have to rely on their offense a lot more. They're going to have to score a lot more points this year to win than what they did last year. It looks like they might be able to do that. However, it's yet to be determined once they play better competition. Number 6, the TCU Horned Frogs. The TCU Horned Frogs are only 2-0 on the season because they had a bye week in week 3. They are 2-0 with victories over a bad Colorado team, but it was on the road. And then they beat Tarleton at home soundly, who's an FCS team. So I've got TCU sitting at number 6. Sitting at number 7, I have the Baylor Bears. The Baylor Bears are 2-1 on the season. They have blowout wins over Albany and Texas State. However, both of those are smaller programs, Texas State being a group of 5 team and who's been a struggling group of 5 team with that, and then Albany, an FCS team. And now their lone loss was to a pretty good BYU team, 26-20 in overtime, and it was on the road in Provo. However, that loss looks worse now that BYU just got pounded by Oregon. So I'm not sure how good of a loss that is for Baylor. Maybe Oregon is just that good, or maybe BYU's not that good. It's yet to be determined, but based on what they've done on the field so far, I have Baylor as the number 7 team in this week's Big 12 power rankings. Number 8, and a team that I would have had higher on my list had I done one of these rankings earlier in the season, that's the Kansas State Wildcats, a team who I thought would compete for a Big 12 title, and they still can because they still have their Big 12 schedule yet to play. However, they're coming off a really bad loss to Tulane at home. They were only able to put up 10 points against a group of 5 Tulane team. Their offense has been struggling this season. They're going to have to rely on their defense, it looks like, to win games for them. Now, their defense is good, but their offense just needs to be more explosive. They're not getting a lot of big plays out of Adrian Martinez. So their quarterback play and their offense overall is going to have to step up. Their 2 victories are over South Dakota and a bad Missouri team. Now, Missouri is an SEC team, and they did beat Missouri soundly by like 30 points or something. So that is a good win. However, you can't turn around the next week and lose at home to Tulane. Number 9 on my list, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are 2-1 on the season, coming off a 27-14 loss to a good and top 15 ranked North Carolina State team, and it was on the road in Raleigh. They do have a blowout victory over FCS Murray State, and then they have an overtime victory against a pretty good Houston team at home. So Texas Tech, not a bad schedule so far. They played a pretty tough schedule, arguably the second or third toughest schedule in the Big 12, with Kansas and this number 10 team, the West Virginia Mountaineers. That's right. I have my team, West Virginia, pulling up the rear in this week's ranking, but I have West Virginia coming in at number 10 this week. They are coming off a blowout win to FCS Towson, 65-7. The defense did not give up a touchdown. That touchdown was actually scored on special teams. Offense looked really good. They were able to play all 4 of their quarterbacks. All 4 of the quarterbacks either threw or ran for a touchdown. So really good week for West Virginia, a way to get some confidence back going into their rivalry game against Virginia Tech on a short week this week. But it is what it is. They're 1-2 on the season. That's not sitting well with fans in Morgantown. They have a loss at Pitt to their arch rival, the Panthers. They have a loss at home at night to Kansas, which is not good. I know Kansas is not the same Kansas they used to be, so that loss doesn't look as bad as it did when it originally happened. However, the record is what it is. They're 1-2, so I'll put them at the bottom of the list. They do have a chance to right the ship even further this week when they go on the road and face an ACC team. Now, Virginia Tech is not as good as they've been in years past, I don't believe. However, Blacksburg is a really tough environment, and it's going to be a really tough place to play. And like I said, they're coming off a short week, but Virginia Tech's coming off a short week as well because they also played an FCS opponent this past Saturday in Wofford. West Virginia looked much better in their game than Virginia Tech did, but it's a rivalry game, and it's at Blacksburg, and anything can happen. So it'll be interesting to see how West Virginia can respond to adversity. Can they turn this season around as they get ready to start Big 12 play the following week in Austin? Let me know, Couz's Corner family. Where did my rankings go wrong? Where did I get it wrong? Where did I get it right? Who would your top team be? If you want to leave me your top 10 rankings in the comment section, I'd love to see them. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Don't forget to check out my merch store. Don't forget to join my channel if you haven't yet. Become a member. Take advantage of some perks. I had a live stream the other day where I allowed members to come on my show and be a part of it with me. I'll be doing more of those in the future. You can get early access to some special videos. There's a merch discount you can take advantage of, things like that, if you're a member at a certain level. So don't forget to check that out. And listen, if you don't want to be a member, but you want to make a one-time donation to my channel, it's very easy to do that. There's a little button right below this video that's a heart and it has a dollar sign in it. It's called the thanks button. You can hit that button. It'll allow you to make a small donation, one-time donation, as small or as big as you want. And you can even leave a comment in it. It'll highlight your comment under the video, and it'll show your appreciation for what I'm doing here. And all that money, just like the memberships and everything else, goes right back into my channel as I try to grow this thing for you guys and really build the Couz's Corner brand and the Couz's Corner family. Also, if you want to support me absolutely 100% free, there's 4 ways you can do that. You can like the video, share the video out with your friends, drop that comment below like I talked about, and then last but not least, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. I'm wanting to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. I'm just a little over 3,400 now, 1,600 more to go. Please help me get there. Please hit that subscribe button. With that being said, I really appreciate you tuning into this episode. And even though we're number 10 in my rankings, as always, Q Country Roads.